So real quick, let's sort of catch everybody up on what's going on right now. So you were arrested a couple months ago this summer on a firearms charge. You were found to be carrying concealed in Philadelphia. So just kind of run through that scenario real quick and sort of catch everybody up on what happened and also the status of your case right now and then why you're moving forward with the fundraiser at this point in time.
It's several things. You should always plan for the worst. The precedent for the state of Pennsylvania is in my favor. It's called the Hicks decision. Pennsylvania is an open carry state, which means the mere presence of a firearm does not justify probable cause. It doesn't matter if I had the gun in my hand, if I had it open carry, it doesn't matter. I am not obligated to have conversation with law enforcement, and I didn't. And so he just decided, he's printing, jumped out, pointed a firearm at me. Mind you, this was all being recorded. I was on the Tom Woods show, and it was for his Behind the Paywall folks, and they were there. We were literally talking about, in the middle of North Philly, me saying, hey, we got to get these libertarian ideology into this community because we're over-policed. Our rights are being violated. We were just talking about that. And that's when it happened. So some people, because it was behind this paywall, some people like, yo, Maj just got arrested. Cops just pointed a gun at him. And, and that's the scenario. But we always want to prepare for an eventuality. I want to go back to the precedent being set. I think people don't understand that law enforcement officers, if they try to engage you and you don't want to talk to them, if there's no probable cause, you're not being detained, there is no lawful obligation for you to engage them. When a law enforcement officer asked me a question, as he stated in the preliminary trial, I turned around. I didn't want to talk to him. I'm not obligated to talk to you. And so they continue to go further, and it is what it is. That's a violation of my Fourth Amendment. I did not consent to any unreasonable searches or seizures. And you thinking I have a firearm and me being obligated to talk to you in a state where the Hicks decision is the supreme law of the land, and a state that's an open carry state where there has been no phone call with somebody saying, yo, there's this guy with dreadlocks pointing guns at people on whatever street. There was no probable cause. There was no call. And I think people need to step up for that and be honest about that. The possession of a firearm is not a crime. A crime produced, and I want to be clear when I say that, crime, the way that we actually justify that is things that create a victim. Me, a firearms instructor that is in alignment with the Second Amendment of the United States of America, that stands on that. That's the good guy that helps to protect people and teach people to protect themselves and is not a criminal, meaning does not go out willingly creating victims. I participated in no crime. The supreme law of the land, the United States of America, which has been enumerated in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, is the Second Amendment as it relates to firearms. And so I think more Second Amendment activists and advocates need to stand on that. I'm not saying that they have to. I'm just saying I think they should, and I do. And so I don't want people to get this misconstrued because, social media takes things in 10 different directions. I don't want people to get it misconstrued as if I was running around shooting people, robbing people. No, I am not a criminal. I don't glorify crime. I don't like criminals, and it's not what our communities need, period. I am an American that wants to have the means, has a human right, codified in the Second Amendment, codified, however you pronounce it, in the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights, and that those rights are granted by our Creator, not by government. And I think that if more people were willing to say that and live it, we wouldn't be in the space that we're in right now as it relates to telling American people that they should not have the means to defend themselves. There's a brother in California that defended his life when people were actually trying to rob him. And the state of California revoked his license to carry. He was literally had a firearm to defend life. And so I think if in this unique position that I'm in as a firearms instructor, as a community activist, as a leader, as a solid human being that's working on being better, it's got to be more open and honest about it. No, I don't want a license to carry. No, I'm not obligated to have one. And no, I'm willing to challenge any unconstitutional mandates, because I can't even really call them laws, because laws are kind of just, you know what I'm saying? And so any of these unconstitutional situations, I think we should oppose, man. And I think that sometimes the gun community, and I say this with love, empathy, and respect for our brothers and sisters in the community, I think that we're so focused on not running afoul of the law to not look like the bad person, that we don't fight against unjust laws. It is an unjust, unconstitutional situation. You know, during the time that, not comparing myself to Dr. King, I want to be clear, I got to say these things. But when Dr. King was fighting against segregation and racism and tyranny, those things were the laws. Like, they were like, yo, you black, you darkies, you got to drink from this fountain. Like, that's what was happening. And so, like, no, we should be respected as humans. And I think that all Americans, and now obviously that was race-based at a dark and grim time in our nation's history, but I want to believe that we've evolved from some of that. I think that all Americans should be evolving towards the Constitution, or getting back to the Constitution, because we're a far cry from it. So if I got to be the person that, just like when we started BGM, that was going into urban demographics and teaching people when nobody else wanted to, if I got to be the person that goes over the mountain first, and so be it. We'll just be the trailblazers. We'll find pathfinder. We'll be the pathfinders. But that's the current state of it. Judges would have to ignore precedent and all of the case law for me to get a conviction, because I'm not trying to make myself be a martyr in that sense. That's the reality. I didn't shoot anybody. It's possession. But if it doesn't go the way that we need it to go, we want the work to continue. The reason why movements stall is because it's based on one or two personalities. The movement has to keep going regardless of what happens to me. I kind of low key want to just be on a farm. And so, get in the building, filling it with instructors and letting other people benefit and teach and learn is how you can scale your company, scale your whatever. And the reality is it can't be just me. So we're going to keep fundraising and trying to do the work. So just in case, somebody says they want to ignore all of the case law, all of the precedents being set, and then, we can still get some work done. So that's really kind of the whole thing in a nutshell. Okay. I'm confident that, this judge understands precedent. And I'm confident that these, people will understand the difference between a good guy and an actual criminal. Yeah. I think that we too many times make things unlawful, allegedly, without recognizing what crime is. Crime has to produce a victim, and there has been no victim.
So let me ask you this, because I found this online when I was trying to look up some information on the case. And I know if it came up for me, it's going to come up for somebody else who may want to support you, may have reservations about doing so. But this is something that was posted to, this was back in June, excuse me, on Twitter, now social media platform X. Breaking, I've discovered exactly why Maj Touré has been arrested. After reviewing court filings, he was charged with 1 count of firearms not to be carried in public without a license, 1 count of carrying firearms in public in Philly. In parentheses, it says the state of PA recognizes Philly as a city of first class, in quotes. So carrying concealed there without a license is double illegal, this person wrote. In a separate post below, they said, for those wondering whether this arrest was valid or not, it was a good arrest. Maj was convicted a decade ago for selling counterfeit goods in PA, which is a crime punishable by more than 2 years in prison, disabling him from owning or possessing firearms under both state and federal law. Consequently, this makes him ineligible for a Pennsylvania license to carry.
Hold on. Let me stop you. Yeah. I want to be clear about this. I've heard this 1,000 times. I would have been charged with the felon in possession of a firearm for the new charges.
But you weren't.
I was not.
Right.
And pardon me for cutting you. I just get very like. I remember that post. I don't know who the person was, and I don't want to give him any light. I remember that guy kind of being like presenting himself as a Second Amendment person, and I want to talk about my conviction. I was convicted of selling DVDs. So let's go into what that actually means. I sold DVDs, and I got a misdemeanor charge for that, to M1. And so let's say if it was let's just think for a second. This is where I want Americans to kind of like evaluate, especially if you identify as a Second Amendment supporter, right? or Second Amendment activist or advocate. Yes, there is no doubt about it. I sold DVDs. I got a conviction for DVDs. Ask yourself, the general public, no violence. Somebody saying, hey, do you want a DVD? Yeah, I have the money. You have the DVD. Cool. I get arrested for that. There is no crime. I mean, now some people could say, well, it's an intellectual property. Let's go with that. It's an intellectual, the movie industry. Okay, cool. Let's ask ourselves, is that something that we should be, even as Second Amendment supporters, saying this makes you ineligible to carry a firearm to defend your life? Like that's the part that bugs me out, because people that are supposed to be from the Second Amendment cloth. I could even though I disagree with this, I could even say if I, was convicted of a robbery with a firearm, I could even kind of hear people going like, man, that was a violent crime, right? And then I paid my debt to society or my debt to the person that I offended. Then when I finish that payment, I still have a human right to keep and bear arms. I want that to be that's actually the reality of the framework of America to this day. There's a court case going on. I don't know if it's been handled yet, but there was a guy that was it might have been Virginia or somewhere. I can't remember the state, but the guy is a convicted felon for like violent crimes. And him and his attorney have argued that there is no wording in the Second Amendment that justifies, once he's paid his debt to society, that he is not able to hold and possess firearms. I don't care what someone says, oh, you shouldn't have a firearm because you sold the DVD. I don't care. I am also of the belief that pedophiles, people that I hate the most, right? If they do their time in jail and they somehow make it out, and the father of the person that they were messing with doesn't get to them, I believe that they have a human right to keep and bear arms. This isn't for people that we just don't like, or people that we like, and not for people that we don't like. The biggest pandemic right now is intellectual inconsistency. And you can't say, like, people put that out there. They say, because he sold DVDs, which is a misdemeanor, I should advocate that he should not have the means to defend his life. That is stupid. And I don't care about their position or opinion on that. I just don't care. I think that when people dislike me or dislike a person, I think they'll remove their standard. If you say you're a Second Amendment guy or woman, you'll remove your standard and you'll advocate for an anti-gun position. This person, if you don't like me, oh yeah, it was a good arrest. And it wasn't a good arrest. Again, the Hicks decision is clear. There is no probable cause. So if there's no probable cause and there hasn't been a pedestrian stop and there hasn't been any conversation, it's not a just arrest. And these are Americans that would identify themselves as patriots. But because we don't like Maj, the limited government role doesn't apply to Maj. And if I got to be the person that, I don't care if I rob the bank. I would never rob a bank. I would never rob people anymore. I think that crime is bad. I think it's bad. I think free market enterprise is good. You got weed. They want weed. That's called commerce. I think that everybody can agree that it's stupid to say, if you have a legal cannabis card, you cannot purchase firearms because cannabis is still Schedule 1 federally. I think these are the same people that would understand that for veterans and say, man, vets have come home. A lot of vets use cannabis for their PTSD, elderly people for glaucoma, so forth and so on. A lot of states, it's lawful. But then somehow we will justify, a lot of so-called conservatives go, nope, since they smoke weed, then they shouldn't have the right to defend themselves. We are walking around being human contradictions. And me being, weirdly enough, in the crosshairs of this argument and this conversation, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. I can get a gun like that. That's not hard for me. I already got guns. So I'm a Second Amendment supporter that you want to be advocating to strengthen the Second Amendment. And what happens a lot of times is we just fall victim to it. We go, I don't like this person. I don't like this rapist. I think pedophiles and rapists are scum of the earth. But to be intellectually consistent and be a solid American, we have to say, I don't like him. However, he has a right, because I would want him to have a means to defend himself from the father when he comes out. You better have a means to defend yourself when you get out of jail. And if we keep picking and choosing when we want to do this, I have no violent crimes on my jacket at all. None. And so if we got to argue that these things are just, can we call ourselves Second Amendment supporters? If we want to say, well, you didn't pay a certain amount of money for that silencer, and you don't got a tax stamp for that full auto. You didn't, fill out the form and pay the ATF for that potential bump stock. Fortunately, that got overturned. And this pistol brace. When does it stop? Let me ask you this. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. So it's right now before the Supreme Court, the Rahimi case, involving a person who has a domestic violence restraining order against him, but hasn't been convicted of a violent crime yet. It's similar to your case in the sense that you also have not been convicted of a crime, but you're having your Second Amendment rights completely trampled on. Could the outcome of that case impact your case at all, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that public perception, I think that we tend to ignore that the court of public opinion. And it influences juries. It influences decisions that are being made. The public opinion needs to be that you are held accountable for your crime. When you come out of jail, you return back to all of the rights. So again, if that's a domestic violence abuser, I'm someone that also, again, that was falsely accused. So during that time, you can't have a gun. Okay, what if the bad guys are like, hey, man, I'm not going to rob you right now or try to kill you right now if you have, some paperwork on you that says you don't have the means to defend. That's not how it goes. So I think that those things shifting public opinion and not having Second Amendment activists and advocates articulating these positions correctly. The Second Amendment is clear. Listen, I will train a Democrat. I am diametrically opposed to Democratic policies. Like, their policies have not been good for my community. But I'm not going to not train you or I'm going to charge you for the free training because you're a Democrat. No, we have to be intellectually consistent and conserve the founding principles. So if that changes and goes in that direction, it'll change the public opinion, but it's not going to change my opinion. I am always going to have the means to defend my life and protect the people that I care about. And so I also think that it's a hotbed, that conversation, because they'll use something like that and say, oh, man, well, guys that beat women, rapists, pedophiles, they always use the extreme to justify creeping back inwards towards regular people. Rewind a few years ago, and I'll bring it home. Rewind a few years ago where mainstream media said, if you don't do what we want you to do, you are an undesirable. If you do not take this jab, we don't want you in our military. We don't want you teaching. We don't want you at the airport. Nighttime pundits and so-called television show people said that if you're in the hospital and if you need heart transplants and if you don't get the jab, the hospital should not serve you. This is how we've packaged the other. And that started from using, it's an emergency going on. So they use the extreme, and in reality, there was never an emergency to the degree that they tried to paint it as. If you questioned Arizona, if you questioned, I don't know what's up with this Maricopa County shit, something seems wrong. Something about these election results are a little bit strange. If you even question that, the mainstream narrative, and they use their media skillfully to try to bully people that were just asking questions, right? And so if they do that, and that's their SOP, their standard operational procedure, when these types of cases are there, if we don't have public support to articulate these things that way, the Constitution is clear. Even a guy that beats up his woman, once he's been handled his criminal situation, and he's held accountable for that. He has a right to vote. He has a right to defend his life. That's how that needs to be articulated. But if a court says, no, we don't like bad people. We don't like, that's the same as people saying, we don't like that Donald Trump did mean tweets. So we want him out of office, and we will cheat and lie and steal and hide election ballot boxes, and the machines will be whatever, because we don't like him. We aren't giving people fair and balanced situations. And so the court of public opinion over time has shifted because, okay, you guys fought for this thing, and now America's damn near trying to fight 3 wars, allegedly, not really, proxy wars, after you asked for this thing, and the general public are going like, wait a minute, I didn't ask for you to go fight China, Russia, and be in Iran. What part of the game was that? We just didn't like Trump's personality. And those things, it may seem like those are different, but it's the same approach. If we can make this person that has been proven to do a wrong thing, and we continue to give them a scarlet letter after they've paid their debt to society, what's the point of making them pay their debt to society? What's the point of being a Christian and believing in the concept of redemption and believing in the concept of, rebirth and forgiveness? What's the point of doing that if we're not going to live Christ-like? Constitutional principles are very spiritual. America's, for the most part, a Judeo-Christian nation. So if we're not doing that in our most practical ways, can we call ourselves Christians? Can we call ourselves, spiritual beings that are being willing to live in that space? And so that court case being that way has ramifications, but I believe that the general public sees the game. But we need to be, again, to the earlier point, as Second Amendment advocates and activists, we need to say that plainly. We need to communicate that, Maj sold DVDs. He paid a fine. The paperwork's out there. He paid a fine. He was on probation, an ARD program for, you got in trouble for selling bootleg movies. Never mind the fact that, well, maybe we should not classify that as criminal activity. When we're having Second Amendment people justify those things as that, they set the wrong impression for what it means to be a Second Amendment activist. And so I think the general public is kind of recognizing that spin. And so I actually think that case, to some people's chagrin, I think that case will actually go in the direction of the Second Amendment is clear.
So right now, what's the status of the case currently?
It's an active case.
But I mean, have you had a court appearance yet?
Yeah, preliminary's done.
Okay.
I go to trial, and they pushed it back. I go back in January. And that's the reason why I kind of want to really, really push, whether you hold on to this for later or, if you want to chop certain sections up, whichever way you want to do it, where we can kind of get people to support and then even maybe release it a little bit later after the case so we can talk about these things in more detail. But my point here is,
not to interrupt you, just to put it out uninterrupted, without any edits now. We can do a follow up afterwards. But what do you need right now from people?
I need people to support the work, and I got to clarify this too. When I say support the work, I don't mean pay for my legal defense. It's not what I mean. I mean support the work. None of the money from this has went to. I have a public defender. I'm not ashamed of that, or nor am I offended by that, or no. I can articulate points, and obviously I have a ton of friends that are attorneys, and organizations like Firearms Policy Coalition and those guys have reached out and have helped. I want to be clear because I made a tweet a while ago where I failed to word it properly. I think it might have been before I had the blue check or some shit like that. But anyway, Firearms Policy Coalition are my guys. I can call the founder of Firearms Policy Coalition and the attorneys over there and get perspective. So, it's not hard for me. But imagine the people that don't have that phone number, who can't just call sharp lawyers like that and be like, yo, what's up with this? Oh, do this, and this for free, right? But I'm not really tripping too much about that shit. I need the people to, because I didn't murder anybody. I didn't steal stuff. I didn't shoot people unnecessarily. I am not the bad guy. I am fighting for our people, for the American people. And it's something that's big, but it's small. And I say big because it's a line in the sand about what I stand on and what Second Amendment activists should be standing on. But it's not, Maj killed somebody, and it's not that. It's not that. So win, lose, or draw, you always should be planning for if this goes the wrong way. So what I want people to do is support the work financially so we can chart out classes and free classes for everybody from January to January 2025 and buy our building. We have $250,000 left to buy this building that I'm in, to buy it. And we've said for over a year, we're going to do this with this money. We're going to do this with this money. And when we get to this amount, we're going to do this with this money. The Biden administration just presented over the summer that they had a $13 billion budget going towards, it's called the $13 billion. It was the Gun Violence Prevention Board or something up to that nature, which means they've earmarked $13 billion to get behind and support local and state candidates that want to run, right? But they're anti-gun, Democrat anti-gun. We are up against that. We've made amazing strides with the work that we've done at Black Guns Matter for the last couple of years. Amazing strides. Largest gun buying group in America now, African-American community, primarily women. Why just the women? Because a lot of the men got caught up in the Biden crime thing and they're prohibited people, right? I think all of the felons in America should put a class action suit against state and federal governments to fight against their human rights as codified in the Second Amendment being violated, right? But we're up against $13 billion and we're rumbling to raise $250,000 so we can have a quote unquote safe space or a Second Amendment education sanctuary for people of America all across the country. If you want to teach a class at the Solutionary Center for free, you should be able to do that. And we want to own the building to do that. And we want to make it solid so we can start running this out in different cities. There needs to be a solutionary center in every major leftist city across America. Leftist cities are full of urban Americans that are tired of the bullshit, period. And we need to service those people. So what the best thing that everyone can do if they want to help is donate to the work. We got a class coming up at the end of next month. We're trying to run through December to make sure that we get in at least 3 of those cities done. We started fundraising for that. We tried to raise about $9,000-$10,000 to do 3. I'm gonna try to squeeze 4 cities into that in North Carolina. We got 54 donors left at the $100 level to do that. How that came about, and then I'll finish up. How that came about was I was doing a live talking about we need to get back on the road. We're gearing up for an election season. We need to turn that fire up and get those communities active again. And Heather, high caliber NC, who's a California transplant firearms instructor, used to work for the California Rifle and Pistol Association. She moved down to North Carolina and she hopped into Instagram Live. And I was like, yo, she was like, come on, Maj, you want to do a class? She actually helped out with our California class in Compton. And so I said, hell yeah, the first $3,000, let's do that class. And we've already booked that class. That was less than a week ago. My point here is, guys, I'm willing to ride this freedom thing till the wheels fall off, but I just need everybody to get behind it. We don't take government money. We use fundraising, voluntary donations. You guys have seen the impact of Black Guns Matter over the last year. Firearms Policy Coalition put out a tweet talking about how 41% of Black communities now are okay with or owners of firearms now. And that's a stark contrast from 5, 6, 7 years ago. My point in saying that is the work is working. We targeted a demographic. We did the work. We made the classes free to all. We gave away all of the money. And so now let's create a hub that is a flagship location. And that's what I need everybody doing this to see. Donate, be one of the next 54 donors at $100 level, and then let's dig in. If some of you guys and ladies are really, really rich folk and y'all want to say, yo, Maj, I'm going to give you the whole 250 to get busy and we work something out on the back end with your company or something, I'm open to it. Shoot me an email. It's very difficult to do this work while fighting an open case and fundraising at the same time and trying to have some semblance of family life. It is very difficult. I don't go out. I mean, like for dates, I love serving our community. All I really want to do is this freedom shit and getting the people to support that. I work for y'all. I got a million bosses. You know, Heather's made that statement and was like, yo, can we? I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. I asked Twitter, yo, y'all think we should do North Carolina? Yeah, do North Carolina. We raised the $3,000. We going to do a class. Let's max out. And so this work moves more, whether I'm here or not, or the helm of it or not. We need those resources to scale and get better, stronger, and faster. Nobody needs to just wait on if Maj comes to their town. You know what I mean? And getting a building, maybe even doing some refi so we can like, yo, let's get another one. Like, these are things that we can do. This is not hard. But we do need a collective effort, that balance between the individuals choosing to put voluntary donations, no government funds. I could have filed for grants. That's not our money. That's the people's money. And that's tax money that was taken from the people, regardless of if I do something good with it or not. This is completely individuals choosing to voluntarily do it. That's an individual choice to do voluntarism that adds to our collective. It's not collectivism. It's individual choices that help defend individual rights and then the individual collective, you know, the collective of individuals. And so that's the model, and that's what we need. We need everybody to help us raise the remaining $255,000. That's what we need. If we could raise that before I go to court throughout the holiday season, if we could raise $250,000. I know y'all gonna get tired of me posting all over Twitter, giving people shout outs and video shout outs and calling people and be like, yo, man, I got your email. Give me your number. I got your number. You know, thank you for that big donation. Y'all might get tired of it, but we should be more tired of our rights getting trampled. We should be more tired of, have more grace for me doing those shit. Cause I hear people, oh, it's always looking like you giving people shout outs for giving you money. Yes, because in Biden economic times, people gave you their money. It means more to me now, somebody saying, if we had 100,000 people that gave $5, that would be $500,000. It means more to me during a time when gas prices are up, food prices are up. And it's not just the Biden administration. It's the central banks. You guys been massively printing and giving away money. So if somebody says, bro, I only got $50 for the rest of the week, I'm going to give you $5. That's 10% of the money that they have left. Like, that's big to me. And so if we can knock this out, it takes a collective effort. I'm a loner by nature. I think better by myself. You know what I'm saying? I cry over Rihanna being married and having children by myself. You know what I'm saying? And I do all of a lot of things in solitude for calmness and peace. But this cannot happen with one person. It just can't. It cannot. And so that's how everybody could help going. And that would be the biggest Christmas, New Year's thing. If one of you rich guys want to donate $250,000, I'm definitely going to find out who you are, and I'm definitely coming to holler at you. But let's collectively get together and do the work. I think our time and our work has definitely shown it's already spoken for itself. We passed the point of, what if I give you $250 and you go buy a Bentley with it? We passed that, you know? So just everybody tap in and help us course correct the Republic.
Well, Maj, I hope you hit your fundraising goal. I wish you the best. I'm going to continue to follow the case as well. If there's any way I could help you spread your message, definitely let me know. But, you know, you do amazing work, and I think you have the right message, not just for yourself, but as far as the whole country and every community that you touch, as far as wanting to build additional centers to work with people, because we have throughout the United States, there are more people, there are people other than you who are impacted by these policies to where they don't have the right to defend themselves. They don't have the right to access the Second Amendment. And a lot of these laws are completely unconstitutional, which we're seeing with some of the cases that are now being unwound by the Supreme Court in the wake of the Bruen decision last year. So again, hats off to you for all the work that you're doing. And, I wish you the best as you move forward. Let's definitely continue to touch base as your case moves forward.
Absolutely. And shout outs to the Bruen decision. Sidebar, Black Guns Matter is cited in the Supreme Court of the United States Bruen decision. We are cited in that. And that's a testament to everybody around the country doing the work. So thank you, my brother. I appreciate you giving me the platform. Make sure y'all are supporting this platform because it's important. Having journalists that have integrity, that are going to do the work and the research and ask the tough questions is what this nation needs more of. And I thank you for being that, my brother.